This is number 15. When we ask for help and trust it will come, it always does. And here's how, well, I've learned that in many ways, but the primary way that I learned that was this was many years ago. I was living in Spain, and I happened to be working on a psychic fair. And that's a whole nother story unto itself. But I was offering astrology sessions on this traveling psychic fair. And my companions on this were very literally a group of chain smoking witches, right? For real. And I'm not exaggerating at all. One of them was this Brazilian woman named Regina. And I'd been working with these ladies for 3 months at this point. I think I'd had 2 words exchanged between Regina and I. And I'll be honest, she just scared me. Like, I looked at her and I was like, I don't know. She's like a force of nature. But this one day, we were at our little booths at this psychic fair, and it was really slow. We just didn't have many customers or clients coming. And so I'm sitting there in my little booth, sitting at my table, and I'm reading a book. And then I look up, and she's standing in the doorway. And she's like, and I had no idea that she even spoke any English. She said, "You read for me?" I was like, "Okay." So she came in, sat down, and I'm kind of freaking out inside. I'm like, "Oh my God, what can I do for this woman?" And then I was like, "So do you have a question, or is there a problem or an issue?" And she said, "Hay dos hombres." So she went to Spanish now. There are 2 men, and I was
Dos
like,
hombres.
"Dos hombres." I'm like, "Okay, there are 2
There's
men."
a lot of reality
like,
TV, a lot of reality TV based on dos hombres.
Exactly, a common drama. So I was like, "Okay, there are 2 men," and I was like, "Well, you want to say more?" And she said, "Well, I love them both." I was like, "Okay," and I was like, "And you have to choose between them?" She's like, "Yeah, that's it." I was like, "Okay." And now I'm freaking out even more. I'm like, how can I help her with that? But I'm like, I just had a little moment of prayer inside myself. I was working with tarot cards, and I was like, I gave her the cards, shuffled them, she put them down, and I put the cards out, in a way that I usually do. And my prayer was, the divine God, universe, higher selves, everybody, anybody that can help, please, I'm calling on you. Can you come here and give me something to share with this woman that's useful? Because I got no idea. And it was one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had in my life, because I started turning the cards over and words started coming out of my mouth, and I don't think I was saying them, right? And I started talking about the first man, and she's like, see, yeah. And I was like, okay. And then I started talking about the second man, and see. And I was like, the first one, you love him, he loves you, he's great with your kids. She's like, yeah, that's true. And then I was like, and the other one, that's very intense, huh? She's like, yeah. And I have no idea what I'm talking about. And then, I kid you not, this came out of my mouth, and I said, and with that one, when you have sexual interactions, the clock hands spin around, right? I don't even, but it wasn't like a metaphor. I meant that literally. I have no idea where that came from.
You were channeling spirit. You were channeling.
Well, yeah, indeed, I was, but I had never done that before that I knew of, right? Yeah. And she, when I said that, she started crying, because yeah, literally that was true. And then I got to the point of like, so now I'm supposed to tell her which guy to go with? The one that's good for her children, or the one that makes the clock hands spin around? And I'm sitting there for another minute. So I said another prayer. I was like, please, Dios, help me know what to do here. And then suddenly it came clear. I was like, Regina, you know what to do, don't you? And then there was this moment of quiet. And then she had a little bit of crying again. And then she said, see. She stood up. She said, thank you. She went to the door. She looked at me once more. And then she left. And I knew in that moment, we would never speak about that again. It was like it never happened. We never did speak about it again. and I got just such a clear feeling inside myself. And that's why I wrote the axiom this way. When we ask for help and trust that it will come, it always does.
So it's kind of like throwing it out, turn it over to God, to the universe, to spirit, to your angels, and then let that intuition, oversoul, inner guidance, channeling just come in, and it gives you the answers. That's brilliant. Okay, I like that one. Number 1 and number 15 are two of my favorites. We got time for 2 more of your favorites.
All right. Okay, so here's a doozy that I think is just so powerful and so useful, though.